File codename, Pandemonium, mass anarchy, organized lawlessness. Laws are fragile constructs that keep society balanced, but what happens when those laws are stripped away? What happens when morality is suspended and chaos is given free rein? The idea of a purge, one night where all crime is legal, is as abhorrent as it is horrifying. In Gotham, such a concept wouldn't just bring out criminals. It would turn the city into a war zone. It wouldn't be chaos for chaos's sake. It would be calculated, manipulated, and exploited by those who thrive in the shadows. Let's talk about how Gotham would handle a purge, and more importantly, how I would. In its most basic form, a purge is presented as a societal experiment. Legalize crime for one night to reduce violence and crime for the rest of the year. But the reality is much darker. It doesn't reduce violence, it concentrates it. It creates a system where the strong prey on the weak, where justice is abandoned, and where the wealthy exploit the chaos for their own gain. In Gotham, this concept would take on a life of its own. The criminal underworld wouldn't see a purge as a single night of opportunity. It would be a stage. The Joker would turn it into a grotesque performance. The Penguin would see it as a way to consolidate power and eliminate rivals. Bane would weaponize it to break the city, using the purge as a tool for societal collapse. And it wouldn't just be the villains. Gotham's citizens, already on edge from years of corruption and fear, would tear themselves apart. Neighbors would turn on neighbors, alliances would crumble, and even the city's infrastructure would become a battleground. In a city like Gotham, a purge wouldn't end after one night. Its scars would linger for years. A purge is a direct threat to everything I stand for. It's the antithesis of justice, a system that empowers the worst elements of society while punishing the innocent. In Gotham, it wouldn't just result in loss of life. It would destabilize the city, empower the criminal elite, and create trauma that no one could recover from. My goal wouldn't just be to survive a purge. It would be to prevent it from taking root in the first place. A purge isn't chaos by accident. It's chaos by design. Systems like this don't emerge organically. In Gotham, it would be orchestrated by those who thrive in the shadows, the wealthy elite funding it for sport, and the criminal underworld seizing the opportunity to cement their power. This is a carefully planned massacre masquerading as freedom. The first move is simple: identify the players. Using Wayne Tech's surveillance network, I'd track the financial and political strings pulling this insanity into action. The usual suspects, Penguin, Black Mask, might lead the charge, but they wouldn't be alone. The true threat lies in the unseen manipulators, the ones who profit most when chaos reigns. Public exposure would be my weapon of choice. Strip away their anonymity, sabotage their plans, and dismantle the machinery of the purge before it ever begins. But prevention isn't just about dismantling schemes. It's about fortifying the people of Gotham. Fear feeds violence, and desperation turns neighbors into enemies. By strengthening community networks and establishing safe havens throughout the city, I could make Gotham harder to tear apart. A united city is a safer one. If prevention fails, survival becomes the priority for the city, for its people. During a purge, chaos spreads like wildfire, and the vulnerable are the first to burn. My focus would be on protecting those who can't protect themselves. Drones, equipped with thermal imaging and real-time mapping, would pinpoint areas of concentrated violence, directing civilians to fortified shelters. Meanwhile, the Bat family would be deployed strategically. Nightwing and Robin would handle civilian escorts, clearing paths to safety while neutralizing immediate threats. Batgirl would focus on securing the shelters, turning them into impenetrable sanctuaries in a storm of violence. Criminals thrive in the absence of fear, so restoring it would be essential. Across the city, I'd deploy holographic projection systems. These devices, mounted on drones, would cast life-sized illusions of me surveilling Gotham's streets. To most, it would look like I was everywhere at once, watching, waiting, ready to strike. The psychological impact would be immediate. Petty criminals and opportunists would think twice before acting, knowing they could be targeted at any moment. The legend of the Batman has always been a weapon, and on a night like this, I'd make sure it worked overtime. But Gotham's villains wouldn't let the night pass quietly. The Purge would be their stage. Joker would use it to turn the city into his playground of terror. Bane would see it as an opportunity to break Gotham once and for all. Neutralizing these threats wouldn't just prevent casualties, it would keep the chaos from spreading like an infection. Prioritization would be key. Joker's unpredictability and Bane's raw power demand immediate action, leaving secondary threats to be handled by my allies. The battle doesn't end when the sun rises. Fear lingers in the aftermath, and the Purge's scars would run deep. To rebuild Gotham, I'd expose the manipulation behind the event, show the city that this wasn't just random violence, but a calculated move by those in power. Rebuilding trust means giving people the truth, and Gotham's strength lies in its ability to rise from the ashes of its darkest nights. In a world without laws, people lose sight of what makes them human. The Purge is not about freedom, but about control, a system designed to exploit rather than empower. Gotham would suffer immensely under such a system, but it wouldn't break. Justice doesn't sleep, not even for one night. Let me know your thoughts on this scenario, and as always, stay vigilant.